guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing how I paint landscapes, and in particular this landscape here. I used a reference photo from Unsplash for this painting, and yeah, I'd recommend using websites like Unsplash because they supply royalty-free images. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you guys how I would approach painting a reference photo like this, how I'd approach interpreting it in my style. So yeah, I hope this video is helpful for you guys, but before I begin I just want to put a disclaimer out there and just say that this is how I paint landscapes. I'm not saying this is the best way or the only way to paint them. This is just how I like to paint landscapes and how I like to approach painting them. With that out of the way, let's begin. I'm going to be using a range of different materials in this video. If you guys would like to know what I use, I can list them in the description for you. Starting off, I like to draw a frame around where I'm going to be working. This time I'm going to be drawing a box with a pencil freehand. I quite like the effect that this gives. It's just quite nice and loose, and seeing as I'm just working in my sketchbook, it doesn't really matter about it having a perfect edge. Using ultramarine blue and white, I start off with creating a pale blue for the sky. When painting landscapes, I find it's best to start from the part of the reference that's the furthest away and then work forwards. So in this case I'm starting off with the sky. Once I've painted the sky, I then move to creating a mid-tone with that same blue, but also adding in some cerulean blue as well, and start working on the base of the mountains. Adding slightly more white to the mid-tone, I add highlights to the mountains. This just makes them look more 3D and make them stand out more and gives more definition. I then create a pale pink using processed magenta and white for a few more highlights on the mountains and also the ground. I like to use colours that are more exaggerated than in the reference photo. I like to use bright colours, and obviously in real life the ground isn't pink, but I just like to interpret references in this way because I love using bright colours in my work. For the foliage, I create a few different shades of olive green using sap green, cadmium red hue, cadmium yellow and white. I just block these shapes in loosely. This is how I like to work. I like my work to be quite free and loose, so I just use a small brush just to loosely block in the areas of foliage that I want to portray. Using a few different tones of the same colour just gives a sense of depth, and I like to add a few different tones just to add more definition to a piece and make it feel a bit more lifelike. Next, using cadmium red and yellow, I mix an orange to add some pops of colour and interest among the green, and also to hint at the heat of the landscape, seeing as it is a desert scene. And then using the lighter olive shade, I use a small brush to loosely paint in the cacti in both the background and the foreground. I then use the darker and lighter shades of the olive green to add areas of shadow and highlights on the cacti to add contrast and definition. I personally love to work with mixed media. I love the textures and surfaces you can create and explore with this method. So once the paint is dry, I move on to adding some final details with my Prismacolor Premier pencils. For my style, personally, I like it to be loose and free, like I said earlier. So I just feel like adding sketchy textures on top with the coloured pencils on areas of shadow and on the foliage as well. It's just a really nice way of adding some more interest to the piece. So yeah, this is how I would approach painting a landscape, a desert landscape in this case. I really hope you guys have found this insightful and helpful. If you enjoyed this video, do feel free to give it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. And yeah, I shall see you guys in my next video. Bye!